and welcome to my online class about the Japanese internment camps. So, at the beginning of the 1920s, FDR and Congress declared war on Japan.
Can I interject, please? First off, in the 1920s, nothing was going on because World War I ended in 1919, and we entered World War II in 1941, and that's when the Pearl Harbor attack went on for, and yeah, that's no.
Okay, thanks for that information. After that rude interruption. So after the bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941, FDR signed executive orders which created the Japanese internment camps, which sent almost 1 million Japanese Americans to camps.
Not even close, man. What is up with your information? Do you even study? You really need to get your facts right. It was Executive Order 9066, just so you know. And it says here it was 120,000. You're not even close, man. I mean, seriously. You need to get your facts right. Jeez.
Thanks for that, but can you please butt out?
You missed.
After that. So, now let's talk about how their lives were throughout their time in the camps. So their lives were pretty good in camps. They had a healthy, nutritious meal, doctors and medical assistants whenever they needed, in case they got sick. Their lives were almost perfect. It was like living in a country club that you couldn't get out of.
Oh, okay. You're just no. I'm taking over from now. Hold up. So you really need to study before you do this. You're just sprouting nonsense, man. Their lives weren't as bad as the Jewish people, but it was still awful. I mean, many people died. I'm not sure how many. It doesn't say in here. And they died because they had horrible medical care. Like, even worse than nowadays, so shocker. And, what's it say? I can't read the website. Oh, right. It also says here that they hated their lives there. It said, so people do have, like, they did play soccer in the streets, they had schools, they had, what's it say? Churches, that's right, farms, but it was still miserable for them because some were taken away from their family, stripped of their heirlooms. They probably lost their parents' ashes, man. Be respectful. It was still covered with guards and chicken wire, barbed wire, stuff like that. They had horrible living conditions. They were sleeping in cots, man. I mean, that's not living. That's in prison. But racist.
Oh, really? That's kind of interesting. Well, their lives returned back to normal, right? They got jobs and stuff after the war, right?
Actually, no. After that, they were treated with a lot of oppression and racism, and it was hard for them to find the jobs that they had beforehand. And yeah, they just, their lives never returned to normal. It was horrible for them. So yeah.
Really? Well, that's very sad. sad. Did they at least apologize for what they did and acknowledge that they did what they did was wrong?
Yeah, they did apologize eventually. Here's what happened. 1976, Gerald Ford had repealed the Executive Order 9066, and in 1982, Congress officially. Hold up. Let me make sure I got this right. You know, I mean, I don't want to be you and get everything I say wrong. You know. Okay, yeah, 1982, Congress apologized for the racial prejudice and then admitted everything, and then 1988, they passed what was called the Civil Liberty Act. Yeah, and what this did was it granted 80,000 Japanese American citizens. How much is that? $20,000 each. And whilst what America did was wrong, sending so many illegal immigrants into a pit of despair, and even sending some perfectly legal citizens who just happened to be Japanese into these horrible, horrible living conditions is awful. But at the very least, we apologized. It only took us 30, 40 years. I mean, that's just awful. Just awful.
Wow, that's terrible. I didn't realize it was that bad. Well, that's all, guys, for this episode. Leave a like down below, and make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. See you in the next vid.